Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Basking 5. All right, it's the Bucknuts Morning 5 still. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by my friend Jonah Booker in just a moment. I know you guys love J-Book Fridays. I do too. I'm also a fan. So J-Book and I are going to get into a lot. The crux of the show, as you can see from the title, what would make the 2025 season a success in your mind for the Buckeyes? We're going to get J-Book's thoughts on that. I'm going to give my opinions. I'm sure you guys are going to have your thoughts in the comments. Do they need to be the first Ohio State team ever to win back-to-back national championships for this to be a successful season? Or do you set the bar lower than that for a successful season and just hope that they become the first team to ever repeat? I will say this, the betting favorite to win the national championship in 2025, the Ohio State University. All right. Let me tell you guys about the Mando. Mando, you guys need to smell good out there. I know you guys look good. You got to smell good to go with it. Mando is America's #1 whole-body deodorant for men, and I highly recommend it. If you've been using the same deodorant for many years like I was, it might be time to try something different and better, and that's where Mando comes in. We're going to get you guys a great deal. Do you want to try America's #1 whole-body deodorant right now? You can find the products at Walmart, Target, and other retailers across the country. For the best deals, go to shopmando.com. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant. That's what this is. 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and free shipping. As a special offer for our Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code Bucknuts at shopmando.com. shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. All right. Here we go. With no further ado, let's bring in the one and only, the great J-Book. Good to see you on a Friday as always. Well, people can't see him right now, but trust me, I was just looking at him. Here, let's try this again. I can see him. There we go.
There we are.
A little technical difficulty. So, all right. Great to see you as always on a Friday. I always look forward to these shows, and we'll just cut to the chase. In your mind, Jonah Booker, what makes the 2025 season a successful one for Ohio State?
Beating Michigan's #1. Got to finally get that monkey off the back, and you can't downplay that rivalry at all. That game is very important. I would say winning the Big Ten. It's been a while, and then I will say if you win the Big Ten, chances are you're probably going to get a bye in the playoffs, win that first round game, and get to the Final Four. Maybe the expectations are extremely high, but I think this is going to be a really good football team, Dave. And when you look at the players and the rosters that's coming back when it comes to the skill position player, there's not a roster in all of college football with this type of weapons, especially the wide receiver, tight end, and what I saw out of the running backs in the spring game. Feel good about them. I think Julian Sands is going to have a big year. The offensive line looks amazing. I mean, the communication there, and so you start to go down the line and you look at what's available as far as this team. There's only a few holes, which we'll touch into later on, which is the defensive line, some spots here and there. But this team is absolutely loaded. Beat the team up north, win the Big Ten, and get to the Final Four of the playoffs. That's my bar right there, because I think if you're setting the expectations lower than that, you're shortchanging this team in the program and how much talent they currently have.
Here's where I'm at. If they beat Michigan and make the college football playoff, that's a successful season to me. Now, does that mean that they can't do more than that? Of course not. I just said they're the betting favorite to win it all.
Right.
But I'm definitely with you. I'm not a national championship or bust guy. I mean, it's never happened at Ohio State. Hopefully it does. This team, absolutely. If the quarterback plays up to expectations, and they can maybe get a D tackle or a D end or both, hopefully a D tackle for sure in the portal, shore that up a little bit, then I think they're definitely gonna be one of the best teams in the country. So, and we'll talk more about the D tackle in the portal later. So my baseline is beat Michigan, make the CFP. Even if they would then, let's say they get the first round bye and they go to the quarterfinals and pull in Oregon and lose in the quarterfinal, can't get blown out. I wouldn't consider that a success. But beat Michigan, make the CFP, I would consider it a success.
Because if you think about it, you make a great point. If you're Oregon or Oregon fans and you look at their season, going undefeated, number one team, win the Big Ten, get a bye, and just absolutely get demolished in the Rose Bowl, Oregon fans probably wouldn't consider that a success. I mean, they got the monkey off their back against Washington, which Dan Lanning had a major issue beating Washington, so they finally got that monkey off their back. But you make a great point. I think them getting blown out in the Rose Bowl kind of put a shadow and a cloud over their season. If it was a situation to where it was a last second field goal and Ohio State snuck out a Rose Bowl win, do you think Oregon fans would feel differently about the way their season? I mean, obviously disappointing considering you ran the table to that point, but if you lost a close battle, do you think that changes the perception of their season?
Absolutely, because then you look at it as well. We beat them in a close one, and they beat us in a close one. So we're really even. It just turns out we kind of got bad luck. It was still a great season. We were the only team to enter the CFP undefeated. We were the number one seed. We were the Big Ten champions. We beat our rival. We beat Ohio State. Only the second time they've ever beat Ohio State, and Ohio State beating them in some pretty high-profile games. Even before this one, Ohio State beat them in the national championship game, obviously, in 2014. Ohio State beat them in the 2009 season in the Rose Bowl, and Chip Kelly was their head coach. So, and now this, I mean, they must hate the hell out of Ohio State. Those are three high-profile games the Buckeyes won. The only times the Ducks won were two regular season games that, and this past year, it turns out it didn't even matter. So, it's good to be king because part of still basking is like it takes the pressure off, man. It takes the pressure off the fan base, I think. And I think, I mean, there'll be a lot of pressure going up to Ann Arbor, but I like Ohio State's chances. Michigan's losing some high-end talent. Yeah. And I think Ohio State clearly has the better roster.
I think one of the aspects that's really not talked about is Ryan Day. I think he's a different man coming into this season because he openly admitted that he's much more relaxed. He kind of feels like the weight of the world is off his shoulders. When you accomplish a goal and you feel kind of like that, like I can breathe just a little bit, it does something to you. It rejuvenates you. Like you're not coaching like you feel like if I don't win this game, I'm going to lose my job. He just got a long-term extension. So for him, I think you're probably for the first time, maybe since he was originally hired, a Ryan Day who's coming in a little bit more relaxed, not on edge, doesn't feel like, hey, the margins are so small that if we don't take that extra 1%, we're going to lose this game. Because now you're saying, hey, if we can just play our game, be who we are, we should be able to wipe the floor with everybody. And that was why I'm still basking in this playoff or in this championship, because for the longest period of time, Dave, and this was my biggest argument about Ryan Day in the program, is because they are more talented than 99% of teams in all of college football. But it always felt, even during the regular season, that they played down to the competition. When you look at it, the Nebraska game, that Nebraska game shouldn't have been close. Even these Michigan games shouldn't have been really close. And you look at it, it's like, why isn't this team who was clearly loaded, not just going out there demolishing teams? And then you get to the playoffs and they flipped a switch and they just started running through people. And a lot of people have saying you woke the sleeping giant. The monster actually woke up. And finally, that's why I was like, this is amazing, because you finally get to see what a ticked off but talented and confident Ohio State football team looks like. And they're not playing down to the competition. They're going into these games with a mindset that I am going to destroy you. and that's where I'm looking at as we go into the season now. Does that mind frame carry over into the 2025 season? And I think it will, because I think That's why I say I think you see a different Ryan Day to say, hey, we're going in, we're going to smoke people. Like, forget playing around. And whenever you guys at the beat, you would talk to him, and he would have this mindset to say, hey, this is going to be a fourth quarter game. And I'm like, why does it have to be a fourth quarter game? Like, you guys are clearly the more talented, the better team. Why does it have to be a fourth quarter team? Go in there and put BTA, belt to ass, on some people and get out of there and get some of those younger guys reps. That was my mind frame. That's why I go back and say that playoff run was so beautiful, because they was just belt to ass everybody.
I love it. Bring the BTA Fridays to the off season. I love it, because we are what? 1, 2, 3, still basking. All right, let's get to a couple questions before Jay Buck and I move on to other topics. I think we're all kind of in agreement to an extent. There might be some people out there that are natty or bust, but I think most of us are like in agreement. Beat Michigan, make the CFP, see what happens from there. That's a successful season. All right, Big John. Dave, it sounds like, and Jay Book, sounds like we have a good chance of getting the young man from North Carolina. Yes, the defensive end from North Carolina, his name is Bo Atkinson. And that'd be good. It'd be more of a luxury piece, because they like Logan George as a backup. They'd be bringing this young man in, big guy, 6'6", 265. But they have Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson, Zion Grady, CJ Hicks. I would like to get another defensive end, but it's more of a luxury item than D tackle. I really want to see them get a D tackle, Jay Book. But your thoughts on the young man from North Carolina, Bo Atkinson?
Yeah, I would say definitely get him. You can never have enough pass rushers in today's era. You never know when the injury bug will creep up. So if you can get after the quarterback, it's going to make everything on the back end life a whole lot easier. So Bo Atkinson, our own Bill Curlick on the message board, front row message board, I think he posted an article this morning where Bo said that he's been in contact with Larry Johnson. They don't have a visit per se nailed down just yet. They're kind of working through those logistics. He's hoping that maybe he can get up here this weekend. So it sounds like he's very anxious to get up here to Ohio State. There's been a lot of talk regarding Bo Atkinson. It could be Ohio State, could be Georgia. I think Georgia just got crystal ball for a lower level defensive alignment, and they also have 2 to 3 other defensive linemen, defensive ends that they're bringing in for a visit this weekend. So it could be a numbers crunch there. I think this could be a really good opportunity if Larry can get him on campus to close the deal. These are one of these sales 101 type of deals, Dave. If you can get this kid on campus, he doesn't leave out of there without pen to paper. Like, hey, we got one of our guys. And if you can get one defensive end, you start to feel good. It's like, okay, can we get some defensive tackles? Because Bill Curlick also talked to Vanderbilt starting defensive tackle Tamarian Thomas.
Yep.
Yeah, Tamarian Thomas, and 6'2", 321, started in the SEC. The one thing that bothers me about that is Larry. He said Larry hasn't been in contact with him, but if Ohio State were to get in contact, he would be very interested. He has 2 years left of eligibility. That would be someone that I would really like to see as a depth piece. If you can get someone who has started and played valuable minutes in the SEC to come up here and be in your 2 deep, you got to consider that a valuable type of defensive tackles, because getting D tackles out of the portal, Dave, that's like the premier position, defensive tackles and left tackles. Trying to get those 2 positions going to be very hard. So that's why I said, Larry, you got to pick up the phone and give Thomas a call, man.
Yeah, that's the name I wrote down, Tamarian Thomas. I think like a lot of Buckeye fans feel the same way. It's like that kid from Vandy. And here's the good news. Yeah, I don't know why Larry hasn't reached out yet. Hopefully that changes, especially with the young men saying that he'd be interested. I don't know what Larry's waiting on there. But anyway, maybe Mark Pantoni and the boys are reaching out today, and Larry. The good news here for the Buckeyes is you can take the rest of the SEC out because they have that rule. I don't know how that rule is even allowed to happen.
Yeah.
But for people that don't know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean, JB. Like, right. The SEC has that rule where you can't transfer from one SEC school to another in the spring transfer portal. I thought the players had all the power now. How'd they sneak that rule in there? But that could help the Buckeyes here get if they had, as far as getting Tamarian Thomas.
And then on a side note of that, I was listening to College Football XM regarding that rule. And a couple people said if players actually challenge that and take it to court, it wouldn't hold up because you can't you technically shouldn't be limiting players to where they can go. But no players in the SEC have actually taken it to court yet. So it kind of stands. It's almost like a situation where the SEC, like, hey, we would rather keep the kids in our own conference, because if you're going to go ahead and allow a plethora of SEC caliber players going to the Big Ten, it's only going to make your enemy that much stronger. The other guy, too, to keep an eye on is Boise State defensive lineman Braxton Feely. He's one that Ohio State may be kicking the tires on. And then I think there is a Liberty defensive lineman that Larry just started following on Twitter as well, edge rusher TJ Bush Jr. So that's one to keep an eye on that Larry started following. So I think if Larry's following him, you suspect that he's probably in his DMs should say, hey, send us some tape, or would you be interested in coming up for a visit? So it does look like they're being very aggressive when it comes to the defensive ends, because he's another edge rusher. But you're right, Dave. We got to get at least one more defensive tackle. I'm curious to get your thoughts on what you thought of the defensive line in the spring game. Now, keep in mind, it was a very vanilla defense with Matt Patricia. He's not going to give Texas anything to look at. But what are your thoughts on what you saw with the defensive line in the spring game?
I was disappointed in the lack of push, for sure, because that's one thing that you can definitely take away from the spring game. When those big guys are going at it in the trenches, who's getting the push? The offensive line definitely got the better of them. And you're right. I mean, the defense overall, I'm not worried about at all, because, as you said, that was as vanilla as you could possibly be. Too high safety the entire time, zero blitzes, zero mixing things up, really. So that's the next. I mean, the quarterbacks, first of all, you couldn't tackle them, and they don't have to worry about getting blitzed. So it was really set up to make the quarterbacks look good. But yeah, man, I didn't like the push I saw from the defensive line, and that Coach Dave pretty much said right after the game, we need to get a D tackle in the portal.
Yeah.
So I was disappointed.
Yeah, it's one of those where you look at this team and you're saying, hey, if this defensive line was deep as other positions, then you're going into this season, it's like, whew, we are locked and loaded, baby. But and we've seen it, Dave. One injury, two injuries, it can really kind of set the balance off. The one thing I would probably say, Dave, is the most disappointing. We're not getting the production from like the Jason Moores and some of those next wave of young guys that you were hoping for. Like, you don't want to say those are recruiting misses, because I still think it's a little too early to go ahead and label those guys as misses. But you were hoping, like, going into here, like, hey, you guys got to have a sense of urgency. This is your time. You got a bunch of upperclassmen are heading off to the NFL. You've been in the program, some of these guys, 2 and 3 years. Like, hey, you got to go. Your time is now, and they're not really getting that next wave of development that you were hoping, especially when you have three defensive line coaches when you count Larry and Miguel Patrick, and I think they brought in another guy to help with the defensive line to try to accelerate it. So that's why I think that when Ryan Day came to the podium, it's like, yeah, we need to get another defensive tackle, because he's seeing it every day. But I just think it's a little disappointing that you don't see those next wave of guys making that jump, making that step, because after this year, you're probably looking at it as like, whew, we're really going to have to start banking on some of these younger guys who are coming in as true freshmen to take that jump from a freshman to a sophomore, or we're going to have to be heavily aggressive in the portal going forward to plug some of these holes if these guys aren't stepping up.
We got a lot more to get to, J-Buck, when we in just a moment is going to answer a question from one of our live chatters. Before we do that, I'll let you guys know about cornbread hemp and a great deal you guys can get. I've been telling you guys about cornbread hemp. As it turns out, Easter is this Sunday. It's 420. Easter is on 420. Maybe after your ham dinner, you can experience a healthy happy hour. It is time to experience your healthy happy hour. Cornbread hemp provides a natural and healthier way to experience a carefree moment. Cornbread's THC gummies offer a balanced sense of happiness and relaxation. These are America's only USDA-approved organic THC gummies. Real THC, no synthetics, 100% legal hemp, and free shipping. A lot to like there. If you're looking for a healthier way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give cornbread hemp a try. They've created the first ever USDA organic THC gummy that's 100% legal. As a special offer for Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners, you can get 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/Bucknuts. Use promo code Bucknuts at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier happy hour.
Dave, you have some a ham dinner and some cornbread hemp here. The rest of your evening for Easter is going to be pretty smooth sailing.
Have a nice Easter egg hunt, and then have a nice ham dinner, and then have some cornbread hemp. Everything lines up there. Maybe watch some Reds baseball. See how it goes.
How you guys? I haven't checked in on you guys. How are you looking so far?
The 9-10. They won 4 straight to get to 9-8. Then they lost a couple to the Mariners. But they got a kind of not this. I think they play the Orioles these next 3 games. Then they play like the Marlins and the Rockies. I could have the order messed up there, but pretty soon they're gonna be playing the Marlins and the Rockies. So that'll hopefully go well. You never know in baseball, though, man. Anybody can beat anybody in baseball in one game.
How's the bullpen looking?
Looking okay. The back end killed him yesterday. They don't really have a closer. Although the guy that we're using was doing well. The starting pitching is awesome. Hitting has not been good at all, but it's coming around a little bit because they were banged up. I'm okay. I mean, I just need them to get to 79 wins and I win my bet. Low bar, man. And when they're at 98, I'm like, yeah, man, they have a winning record. I'm on pace to win the bet. I'm like, dude, we're 17 games in. Now we're 19 games into a 162-game season. It's early.
Right. It's early. See, that's why I'm lightly following, because I know you got that win total on the season bet that you got in your pocket. So I'm hoping that you cash that ticket.
If I cash that ticket, I get to go back to spring training next year. If I don't,
I don't.
There we go. If I don't, I don't. That's how it works. All right. Question from Todd on YouTube to J Book. It's like, I want to ask J Book this. Who gets drafted higher, Kyle McCord or Will Howard?
I think it's going to be Will Howard. I think Will Howard really helped himself when it comes to the pro day at Ohio State. I really think that it helped himself with John Gruden going on that show and kind of showing his chops. Mm-hmm. Kyle McCord there, he put up some really good numbers at Syracuse, but I mean, I think he led the college football in the most passing attempts. So you hope for the best. I mean, no ill will against Kyle McCord. I hope he has a great NFL career and he gets drafted. I just think that a lot of teams are going to throw on Will Howard's tape this year, playing against some of the best competition of all of college football, especially that playoff run. And they're going to see that, hey, this guy can really sling it against some of the best competition. So I think it's going to be Will Howard. Maybe in a second, we were talking last week, Dave. Maybe so. I think there's no way I can see Will Howard sliding past the 3rd round. I think that's his floor right there. Is a 3rd round is the bottom line that you're going to be on the board. I think round 2 is very viable.
Yeah, if I and maybe we can bet on everything. I think now, if I can just bet that Will Howard will be a 2nd-day pick, I might go pretty high on that because I'm convinced he's not. I think someone's going to take him in the 2nd round. All it takes was one. I think someone's going to fall in love with him and take him in the 2nd round. Frankly, the Steelers would be a good fit, but they don't have a 2nd-round pick because of the DK Metcalf trade. Right. I'm with you, man. I think there's no way he falls out of the 3rd round. And most people I think agree with us. I'm not talking about Ohio State fans. I mean, Ohio State fans agree with us. Ryan Day certainly agrees with us. Draft analysts, I think most of them agree with us. However, Dane Brugler, who I love and has been a longtime guest of Dan Rubin's on the Bucknuts Morning 5. Now, he did a 7-round mock. This guy is just he is awesome at what he does. However, I came away a little upset because he had McCord as a 4th-round pick and had Will Howard as a 5th rounder. I'm like, that's no and no. First away, there's no way Kyle McCord's going ahead of Will Howard. No way, in my opinion. Second of all, there's no way Will Howard's lasting until the 5th round. Hey, when you're picking like 300 picks in order like Brugler is, you're going to mess up some picks, but that's pretty egregious in my opinion.
Yeah. The other one that is driving me crazy, I don't understand how teams view Jalen Milroe as a 1st-round quarterback. I mean, we're just witnessing an Anthony Richardson type of scenario again. Great athlete, can run with the best of them. But my mind frame is if you're not a good thrower in college, chances are you're not going to be a really good thrower at the next level. It's all about being able to process, getting the ball out, and being accurate. Yeah, you can run from it, but hey, how many beatings does Anthony Richardson take, and how many games has he missed? I see the same situation with Jalen Milroe. I mean, you throw in the Vanderbilt game, you throw in the Oklahoma game, you throw in the Michigan game. I mean, he's out there seeing ghosts. He's throwing balls into the dirt. Like, there's no way I will waste a first round pick on that kid. But I tell you, I've been seeing a lot of mocks with him going to the Steelers in the first round as well. I mean, as a Bengals fan, would you like to fight? Would you like to see, Jalen Milroe?
I'd like to see them do that. That'd be Kenny Pickett part 2 of them just wasting a first round pick on a quarterback.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I agree with you 100%. I don't see Jalen Milroe being the only guy I can really think of that had a bad completion percentage in college. And I remember talking about it that has proved me wrong. That is a fantastic NFL quarterback is Josh Allen. Now, Maybe that was a product of he didn't have the offensive line or the receivers or what have you at Wyoming. I don't know. That surprises me a little bit that he's gone from a guy that had a pretty poor completion percentage, relatively speaking, in college, especially playing at Wyoming, to now being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But you're right, that he's the exception to the rule.
Here's the thing, though. Josh Allen was out there throwing to cowboy ranchers and guys who are going to be out there baling hay for their future. At Jalen Milroe, he's been surrounded by the best of college football, like grade A blue chips that he's been able to surround himself with. And if you're still struggling, to be a successful quarterback whenever you have that much talent around you, I just find it very hard that that's going to translate to the NFL. I mean, if you look at it, here's the thing, Dave. If you look at Justin Fields and you look at Jalen Milroe, you're probably talking about similar speed. I will say that Fields was a much more advanced passer coming out of college in Ryan Day's system, which has a lot of NFL pro concepts, than Jalen Milroe at Alabama. Now, Fields, granted, he's been dealt a bad hand considering what he's had to deal with the Bears and their lack of offensive line and stuff. But Fields is still kind of trying to find his way as an elite passer at the next level. I find it hard that you would say, hey, Jalen Milroe is going to be a first-round pick who's going to lead. Because here's the thing. You cannot afford to set a first-round quarterback. If you're drafting a guy in the first round, you're expecting him to play right now. He's not ready to play right now. So any team who uses a first-round pick on him, I just think that that GM's probably not going to be long for the job. It's almost like the hype coming in when Malik Willis, remember him when he was, a lot of people were saying Malik Willis is a first-round quarterback and he slid all the way in the draft. I just kind of see it in those type of situations to where, hey, you might take him. He might have great upside, but you might not have a job in 3 years if you do pick him.
I know. I don't know if we have any Titans fans out there. You guys keep swinging and missing with quarterbacks in the draft. Hopefully, you guys won't swing and miss this year with Cam Ward if that works out. Because who'd they burn a second-round pick on the kid from who was at Penn State, then Kentucky? Will Levis.
Yeah, Will Levis.
Burned her third rounder on the kid from Liberty that you just mentioned. Like those are valuable draft picks. You can't just you just can't just throw those away. All right, I was going to get to other stuff, but I got to ask you about Nico. Nico, I mean, what do you think about this whole thing? It sounds like he's going to land at UCLA. How much money do you think he's going to get? I know I'm asking you like 5 different questions here, Tim May style. And I'm just curious for you to unpack all of this. I'm curious to get your take on it.
You should have said, hold on, I got another quickie.
I got 5 questions, 3 parts each. Go.
Yeah, like Tim May, just one quickie. Yeah. For him, I think that he is a kid that's probably going to get around, 1.4 kind of sounds 1.5 from UCLA. And it's been a total mismanagement from his father and whoever's advising him. Now, at first, they try to deny the reports. Clearly, the reports were true. He was in some type of form of negotiations. Now it's coming out that they're saying, oh, it wasn't about money. It was about the offense. It was about what Tennessee's trying to do. We were trying to negotiate for him to get more offensive alignment and wide receivers. first of all, how does a parent at a major brand like Tennessee, how overconfident do you have to be to think that you have the right to walk into Josh Heupel's office and start talking about personnel? Like, you need to surround my kid with more talent. I mean, they paid an arm and a leg to get David Sanders for him. And then you're talking about he needs to be surrounded by more wide receivers. Like, how much money you think these people have? I think it's absolutely crazy that these parents think that they could just go in here and dictate it. And good for Josh Heupel. I mean, he put his foot in the sand and said, hey, no players bigger than the program. And that's what he had to do. I mean, for them, it makes absolutely zero sense because Tennessee was ranked top 10 in offense last year. And you're talking about UCLA, who was ranked 110th in total offense. So it can't be strategically about the offense because you're going into a much worse situation. And a coach who has very little experience getting a quarterback to the NFL. I think it was very short-sighted. He was going into his draft year. You put up a solid numbers, even take a 10 to 15% jump on what his numbers were from last year. And he's probably off to the NFL being drafted in the first round because as we just talked about Jalen Milroe, the NFL is all about potential, drafting off the potential. If you look at his measurables at 6'6", has a really good arm. I give him credit when they played against Ohio State. He was tough as nails. I mean, he took an absolute beating and kept on fighting. So you can say, hey, once he crosses those white lines, the kid's going to give you everything he got. I think that it's unfortunate that the parents have put him in a situation to where he can't win. Their perception and the narrative surrounding him right now is so negative. I think they're doing a disservice because if this was my kid, he's going to go talk. At this point, as a parent, I would have shut up. I wouldn't have been involved like this in the first place. I wouldn't have been speaking so much about what the situation is as a parent. But to help the bleeding, to stop the bleeding, he needs to go out there and talk. And he needs to say, hey, this is what happened. This is why I felt like I needed to move on. They kind of just, after this, fade off, be quiet, go train in California and just go ball out. Because if you can ball out, a lot of things that people think about you can be, swept under the rug. But this will be something that follows him around his entire career.
And you nailed it. I think this isn't. I wish him well because I don't think it's him. I think it's his father, and I think it's. They also have another guy who's kind of his agent. He's not an official agent, but it's his father and this other family friend who I think are pulling all the strings here. One quick before we get you out of here. Do you think we know he's not going to get $4 million at UCLA. You think he's going to get more than $2.2 million or
Heck
less?
No. Heck no.
What do you think he's going to get?
I think he's 1.5 max. If you're talking about $2 million, he's going to be getting paid almost as much as the head coach because UCLA's broke. That's one of the reasons why they decided to come to the Big Ten and set a fraction of what the full-time members are getting. I mean, UCLA is having to cut sports. I believe something along the lines that their athletic program and what's his name? Martin, who used to be at Ohio State. He was one of the guys, their athletic director. He worked under Gene Smith.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, Martin Germain is their athletic director, and he used to be at Ohio State. And their athletic department is broke. And there's no way they're going to be paying this kid the equivalent amount of what they're paying their head coach. So he's getting pennies on the dollar compared to what he's going to be getting. I mean, it's crazy because here's the thing that Tennessee people have been saying, and a lot of people have been getting it wrong in the media. Tennessee people have said that they actually, because California allows it, paid him money in high school. And so a lot of people thought that, hey, that contract started once he arrived on campus. No. They actually gave him money he was in high school. He didn't play his freshman year. So he got 2 years worth of money, without even stepping foot on the field and being a contributor to that team. Obviously paid him last year. So if he would have stayed this year, you're talking about a kid that probably would have made upwards to $10 million or so, considering that his first payment started when he was still walking the halls as a high school recruit. And because California, they allow it. So he's made quite a bit of money. And it's just crazy that you would try to hijack the Tennessee program and say, hey, I need more money, when for 2 years you did absolutely nothing to help this program, and we made sure that we took care of you and loaded your pockets up in the meantime. I think this situation will probably reset the NIL market, because you're looking at it, and Fran Brown, and I love Fran Brown at Syracuse too.
Yes.
And Fran Brown came out and he said, I'm not paying a wide receiver $2 million unless you're the homie over there at Ohio State, referring to Jeremiah Smith, or if you're Travis Hunter coming back. That's the only way I'm paying $2 million. So I think a lot of people are looking at these players and saying, this is out of control. Like, there needs to be some type of reset here, because you can't be paying players the equivalent amount of what you're paying your head coach. Because at that point, if you let a player hijack your program and hold out for more, every single agent out there in college football would advise all of their players. And I thought it was absolutely crazy that they're saying that some of these Tennessee players were threatening to hold out in the playoff game against Ohio State because they wanted a new deal. Like, what? Like, I've never heard such a thing.
God, there's no boring moments in college football, man. We think this is the off. What are we going to talk about after the spring game? Oh, there's going to be plenty. Well, college football never sleeps, especially here in Columbus, Ohio, or in Scottsdale, Arizona. Excellent stuff as always from J Book. Thank you, Mr. Jonah Booker.
Hey, talk to you next week, my friend, and you have a happy Easter. And to everybody who's here in the chat and listening, you guys have a happy Easter.
Amen. Happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter to you, sir. He is Jonah Booker. Coming strong as always. We have good news at Bucknuts that I want to tell you guys about. All right. Bucknuts, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary. And, the Ozone was the first site. They launched in 1996, and we were the second Ohio State site. And we launched really in 99, so we're past our 25th anniversary. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary. And this part is the part that's really cool. Mr. Bucknuts, who, of course, founded the site, is coming back for the next several weeks to write the bucket of bullets each week. The bucket, as we shorten it to, but he used to write the bucket of bullets every week, and eventually he turned that over to Bax, who does a great job with it. Mr. Bucknuts is going to borrow that back from Bax just for a little bit, and that's exciting because and it always kind of, it didn't make me mad. It just made me admire him more because he's such a good businessman and such an intriguing guy, smart, huge Buckeye fan. Just I admire a lot about him, and it always kind of, what I do for a living, at least back then, I didn't do as much podcasting, so I didn't do radio on the side. I just was basically a writer. And I think I'm a decent writer, but Mr. Bucknuts is far better than I am. Like, he's a brilliant writer. And I'm like, you don't even do this. You just do this as a hobby and you're great at it type of guy he is. So not only is he coming back to do the bucket of bullets, which is cool, he does a fantastic job with it. He's hilarious. He'll have references that you won't believe will be in there, and it'll be awesome. So I'm looking forward to Mr. Bucknuts coming back to write the bucket of bullets here temporarily, and I'm looking forward to celebrating our 25th anniversary. Mr. Bucknuts is the only one that's still here from when the site launched. I'm the second longest tenured. I jumped on board in 2002. I've been here 23 years. It's crazy. And then Steve jumped on the next year, Hellwagon. And I believe it was Bill, then Dan. That time's a blur. Bill and Dan been with us forever. Bill Kurlick and Dan Rubin, of course. Patrick is our most recent, and that was back in 2016. So was it 2016 or 2017? One of the two. 2016. It was 2016 for sure. I remember because I was the one that kind of went to Dan. Was like, I think we should bring this Pat Murphy guy on the beat, with us. We were looking for perhaps getting a third guy. We had Steve and myself for a long time. We're like, maybe we'll get a third guy. Brought Patrick on in 2016. So he's been with us almost 9 years. So celebrating our 25th anniversary. We're very proud about that. And it's going to be cool hearing from Mr. Bucknuts, the founder of the site, once again. Hey, thanks to all of you. I appreciate it very well. I appreciate it. Oh, I thought somebody said that it was stuck. I hear you, Doreen. I almost misread you there. I thought you said it sounds like that my feed was stuck. I was like, oh, great. I said all that about Mr. Bucknuts and it froze. Okay, I'm glad you guys heard that. So I'm glad I stuck around too. Trust me. But thank you guys. I appreciate all you guys. And you guys know that it's been nice meeting some of you. I feel like I know pretty much all of you from just your chats in the live chat. So thank you to all of our live listeners. Thank you everybody listening to our podcast only version. And thank you, of course, to J-Book. Love having J-Book on the Friday shows. All right, everybody, have a happy Easter. Thanks to everybody. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Go Bucks. Still basking.